I guess we can move on to this next fight. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, the theme of this fight, this card seems to be fading fighters that have cost you in the past. And what do we have here? No one other than Jared Vanderaa taking on Waldo Cortes-Acosta, coming off the Contender Series. Where it currently stands, I believe Cortes-Acosta is like a minus 210 favorite, if I'm not mistaken, over our boy here, Jared Vanderaa. And it's an interesting fight. There's really not much to say about it other than Cortes-Acosta really is a one-trick pony. He's going to try to knock you out. Not much technique, just a bull rush, poor cardio. Honestly, his combinations are pretty poor as well. Out of the Dominican Republic, Jared Vanderaa, we all know he is just on a landslide out of the UFC as it currently stands. I think all four of us are surprised to even see him getting another UFC fight after getting knocked out in the third round by Chase Sherman. But here we are. Without wasting any time, I think Vanderaa is just, I hate to say it, he's the more well-rounded fighter in the octagon when it comes to this one. And I just feel he's gonna stay out of the range of Cortes-Acosta's power, and he's just gonna do enough to cruise to a decision here. I like Vanderaa by decision. It's gonna look a lot like his fight versus Tafa, I believe. I just think Cortes might win round one, but there's no way he wins round 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the Tafa fight earlier in the week. We're kind of just shooting the shit about this fight. I like it, and it's one of those spots where again you have a guy like Vanderaa who's on this huge on this huge losing skid, and how he's getting pretty much finished. Aside from the Arlovsky fight and all those losses, but at the same time, you got to make the case for this guy and saying that listen, he's to decent fighter. Sherman one, to be honest, was I read that one wrong because I thought Chase Sherman was the B side there, and he kind of surprised me. But I think it's a classic spot where we get a Contender Series guy coming off, and you got to go a lot of first round knockouts. If you look at this Contender Series fight, his opponent, where did they get this guy? They were really trying to set this guy up for a knockout. Costa, appeals to the Latin community. They're trying to build that part of that market, and it makes sense that they want a heavyweight to come in and start starching guys. And this will be certainly an interesting test. Costa has some boxing experience as well, so the hands are going to be there. But outside of that, and outside early, a risk of early KO, the first round, I'm not sure what to expect from Acosta, and for that, I lean Vanderaa. He's fought the more seasoned guys. He seems to be fairly durable, even though, again, he did get finished by Sherman. The guy can take a punch. He's a bigger guy. I think he'll be at a bit of a speed disadvantage here, but I like Vanderaa in this spot, back against the wall. He's had some interesting performances. Seems to not be able to get out of his own way, but again, I think this is a great spot where we can fade the Contender Series guy coming in at a almost 2-1 favorite. You're getting good value at Vanderaa. I don't know about the decision just because we're talking heavyweights. I mean, I can absolutely see a scenario where both guys are gassed by the middle of the second, and it just eyes are burning, and I can't turn off this fight quick enough. But give me the plus money on Vanderaa here. Give me the more well-rounded guy, the more, I guess, proven guy, if you will. But I like Vanderaa here in a dog spot for sure. And if he loses, he is on the I have a blacklist. I am going to open a new list and put the ultra blacklist. That is the last time that I am giving this guy a shot. It is now or nothing, Jared. You got to show me something.
And I'm just going to cut back in real quick. Part of the reason why I like the decision is because I could see it being a gas fest turning into. We see it all the time with these low-level heavyweight fights where neither has enough to throw. They just stand and make it to the end. And to build off your other point about Vanderaa's losses, I mean, really the Chase Sherman losses last time out, I think, is his only bad loss in the UFC, right? I mean, he lost to Sergey Spivak. I believe that may have been on short notice, if I'm not mistaken. Spivak is running through the division right now. He lost to Alexander Romanov, where, I don't want to get too much into Alexander Romanov, but it's not a terrible loss, right? And then Andrei Arlovsky split decision. A lot of people, including myself, I thought Vanderaa won that fight. It went to the cards. Of course, it was an Arlovsky split decision. And then Alexei Oleinik, he was beating Alexei Oleinik. He just wound up, getting dragged into Alexei Oleinik's waters there and ultimately submitted. So it's not the worst losses. Obviously, he's coming out on the bottom of all these fights, but I just want to add some context to his skid.
Yeah, no, I mean, you talk about a blacklist, Bet Juice. Like, how many more fights do you have to see out of this man to put him on the blacklist?
Just one.
I mean, you're talking about
more.
Has lost 4 straight, 5 of his last 6, and you're like sitting here like this is the one that might put him. Like, he should have been put on the blacklist years ago, man. And quite frankly, I find it absolutely baffling. It seems like everybody and their grandmother is on Vanderaa this week. I get it, Dana White Contender Series guy coming in, debut, but man, I mean, like, I don't know how you can trust Vanderaa with your money. Like, I just don't get it. It's
easier with the dog price. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. They're just trying to get you, man. Vanderaa's getting knocked down in the first round. Easy.
This guy, Waldo Cortes, is very, very bad.
And so is Vanderaa.
That's what it comes out to.
This is a low-level heavyweight. This is a low-level heavyweight MMA fight at its finest.
Right.
Cortes has power, and he's the Contender Series specialist. He's beaten a bunch of cans who are like 5'10". I mean, he beat an Oompa Loompa, let's be honest, in his last fight.
Oh, man, that was ridiculous.
Should not have been in a UFC cage. And yeah, Vanderaa is not very good, but he's got his UFC experience and he's got decent volume for a heavyweight. And he's going to be the taller guy here. I don't think Cortes is just going to be able to bully him, which is his real only path to victory. And if you're going to give me plus 185 against a guy whose only real path to victory is bullying to a first round knockout, I'm happy to take a small shot. I want to add more, but because it's Vanderaa, I'm not gonna. It's just going to be a unit. But you got to play that number.
Nah. I have a daydream of like the wasting money meme where they're just like throwing money in the fire here with the guy.
You could very well be right. We could all just be,
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Waldo is like this bona fide star, but like we can all agree that in the heavyweight division, in a sloppy heavyweight, you don't necessarily need like the technicalities to finish it. Like all you really need is just that.
Did you watch his Contender Series fight?
But that's why the dog number is the reason that you should be taking this, because it could be a slop fest and it's a 50-50 fight.
Here's the thing: is that Tafa is probably one of the harder hitting heavyweights in the division, and Vanderaa was able to take his shots. It was an ugly fight, but I don't see Acosta having more power than Tafa. He'll probably be a little bit quicker, so I can absolutely see a scenario. Again, it's first round or bust for Acosta in my eyes. I think that Vanderaa is just going to have to do a lot of pushing up against the fence. He'll be the bigger guy in there, right? So I think he'll be the one that'll be
265.
Yeah, he'll be the one that'll be able to push Acosta back. And Acosta's used to being the hammer, right? We've never seen him as the nail. We've never seen him as the nail. We've seen Vanderaa as the nail. I mean, I think in that fight against Sherman, he lost based off of like an accumulation of shots. Like Sherman was just quicker and sharper than him, and he was just landing. And
he gassed.
He gassed, and Sherman has some, competent stand-up. I mean, we often see him lose getting taken down and ground and pound, but that wasn't the case in that fight. Sherman was able to just land volume, and eventually just break him down. Acosta is not going to be throwing that kind of volume. He'll be looking for the one shot. And man, we said this. We counted out a guy in Rafael Assunção a couple of weeks ago who was on a 4-fight bid and over the hill. I mean, I'm not comparing the two, right? Assunção is Vanderaa cannot hold a candle to Assunção. I'm just saying is like sometimes you look at the losing streak and it kind of masks who the fighter really is. And Vanderaa is actually a fairly competent fighter. I mean, up until his losses, Romanov, Arlovsky, Oleinik. These are guys that have been staples.
He's got bad fight IQ, though.
See, you guys just made the key points I was going to say. He's a good fighter. He's a
bad fight IQ.
His poor fight IQ costs him, but in a fight as low level as this, you could get away with making mistakes. You're
100% right.
It's when you're fighting the Arlovskys, the Romanovs, the Spivaks, the Oleinicks.
The 46-year-old Oleinik, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to play Acosta here, it only makes sense to play a first-round knockout, 100%. Maybe as a hedge off of Vanderaa.
100%.
That Oleinik fight still haunts me. I don't think I bet that fight, but the fact that he went to ground with Oleinik is still one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Willingly,
Oh, just the lack of awareness, right? The lack
Yeah.
of awareness, and again, that's a risk that's not present in this fight. So
he'll take down Olynyk, but he won't
For
take
sure.
down Chase Sherman, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I can see Vanderaa taking down Acosta here, and I want to see Acosta off his back. You know, I don't think he'll have anything to offer.
It's gonna look like a turtle.
Kev, I want to see the Acosta ticket with the amount of head shakes I've seen.
Yeah, look, man. I mean, everybody is saying, "Oh, yeah, he's gonna take him down," and it's like, bro. I mean, he's only landed one takedown in the UFC. Like, how are you gonna rely on a man?
He's gonna out-volume him.
Well, look, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying strictly grappling, like initiating that grappling, taking this fight to the mat. I just don't know how one can be so convicted that Vanderaa is going to come in with this game plan of taking him to the mat when he hasn't shown history of that in 7 UFC fights, which is quite a sample size to make an assumption. Look, I'm playing Acosta KO round 1 all day. Vanderaa is just a bum. He's a bum. And I just I just don't understand the conviction on the side. I've been hearing it like all week on MMA Twitter, like everybody's on Vanderaa. I just like see a red light, man. I see a red light. Vanderaa.
But just to remember the numbers. I'm not saying Vanderaa a lock here. I'm saying he's 55% here. That's my opinion. I still think Waldo wins 45% of the time. If you fight 10 times, it's not that big of a shake. But that's where the value with the line comes in and why I'm willing to take the poke.
That's fair. And I think that to be fair, you are getting good value on Vanderaa versus a guy making his debut. But at the end of the day, is he going to win the fight? And if he doesn't win the fight, then it doesn't matter how much value is there. So I don't know.
Are we trying to predict fights? Or are we trying to bet value bets? That's the question that comes down to.
Yes. Both. But they both have to like intertwine.
I think they're kind of separate. You play value long enough, you'll come out on top. Baby.
We'll see. Well, we'll most definitely see Vanderaa on the blacklist, even though he should have been there years ago.
In percentage terms, how often does Acosta win this fight, Kev?
I would say in the first round.
No, just
overall.
And that's where I'm like agreeing with you in the sense that you are getting good value on Vanderaa.
Right.
I think this is definitely more of a coin flip or maybe a slight favorite on the Waldo side, just because he has that danger factor and that finishing ability. But yeah, no, I mean at minus 215, like it's whack. Like if you're taking that money line, I don't know what's going on with you there, because I mean his only path here is that first round knockout, and that's what I've been envisioning. I see everybody on Vanderaa this week. I'm not on Vanderaa. I don't know how you guys trust this man with your money, whether he's at plus 300 or not in this spot. So good luck to you guys.